Chris Lee and Blake Lovell here of Southeastern 14. Today we are previewing Missouri's opener with Louisiana Tech. Coach Eli Drinkwitz, 11 and 12 at his first two seasons in Columbia, had a banner recruiting class. Louisiana Tech has made a coaching change. Sonny Cumbie, now the head man at Louisiana Tech. Blake, this one opens with Missouri about a 20-point favorite with a 59-point over-under.
Yeah, this is another one of those games I think that you would expect Missouri to win. You expect the SEC team to win. It's just you probably don't have a great feel for exactly how this game plays out because, quarterback job still open for Missouri. So you don't really know yet what that's going to look like. Got to replace a guy who wasn't too bad running the ball, I think, and Tyler Beatty. From what I hear, he wasn't bad. So things like that. Those are things that you have to kind of look at on offense. But they got some options running back wise. They've got half of their top receivers, I think top 8 returning. Offensive line, we'll get to that in a second. But this is a game that I think if you're a Missouri fan, the biggest thing you probably want to see is what are things going to look like quarterback and running back, and can the defense continue to get better like it did in the second half of the season, and hopefully it doesn't resemble the defense of the first half of last season. So,
Well, and one other thing Missouri fans are really looking forward to, Tigers signed 2 stud wideouts, one the number 3 player in the country. So that is an additional storyline is how quickly do those guys get acclimated?
yeah, and I think that's always the question we talk about. I always say, it doesn't matter what your star rating is. It's just there's going to be, you're going to try to find that chemistry, and those kind of things are always, especially in these early games that we're trying to preview games that are going to be much different than all the games that come after them because we will have had some sort of data on this particular team. We don't have that yet, and I think that's why these week 1 games, we've seen it over the years. I mean, that's why they can produce some pretty wacky results sometimes. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how this stylistically matching up. We talked about Louisiana Tech having a new coaching staff and running an air raid offense, but we'll get to them in a second. Maybe some unknowns there a little bit early for them. So,
Well, Tech has got 8 returning starters on defense, but I don't think it was a very good defense a year ago. I want to say Tech gave up somewhere around 34 points a game. Now, the defensive line is back. That's always a big plus, but it's a new system and some questions at corner. So, again, there's a lot of unknowns on both sides of the ball for these teams.
yeah, and I think it's just again, I think for Missouri, it's just figuring out kind of who's the next guy in line. Really, I think that's what it comes down to, and it's I think that's the question because you do you're in a situation where there's some other teams we talk about. Alabama doesn't have a quarterback competition. It's just it's with those kind of things that we still don't know the answers to that as we're recording this in early August. Of course, we'll know the starter by the time this game is happening, but so I think for Missouri, that's something you kind of see how the quarterback situation plays out there, and that's been one of the bigger storylines of the offseason. Louisiana Tech, I mean, yeah, it is a team that's got a lot of returning starters, but like you said, it's not exactly though they were the best team in the in the nation by any means when it comes to defense, and you've got a new scheme now to add to that. So what does that look like? Again, I think that's where you may still have a Missouri team that's filling out some things offensively. But there's talent there, and I think that's something where if that chemistry has come together by the time this game is played, Missouri can put up some points. So I think, again, this is not one of those teams in Louisiana Tech that even though they have starters back, I don't necessarily know that you're going to look at this defense. And if you're Missouri, you're going to feel like you probably should be able to exploit some things. But again, that's just a matter of is everything there for you, though, in kind of figuring out quarterback situation, those kind of things heading into game 1. So,
Well, Missouri defensively was so bad a year ago, it actually changed schemes in the middle of the year for the Tennessee game, which backfired.
yeah,
The results were more the same, if not worse. I guess got a little better at season's end,
it got
and they
better.
get
Yeah.
yeah, it did get better. Ennis Rakestraw is back, I think. Seems like he is participating in camp early. He's a corner that really would have helped them a year ago. 8 starters back. I've actually seen 4 or 5 Missouri kids on that side of the ball get some mention of all SEC honor. Now, well, by some mention, maybe third and fourth team, but that's a sign that the experts think there is some talent there. Louisiana Tech has got new quarterbacks, new offensive system. I guess not a new system. It's Sonny Cumbie has been there before or has got connections. He was the Texas Tech head coach for a little while. I don't know that it'd be a big change, but it is a different coach in some ways. Top rusher gone. What do you make of that side of the ball when Tech's got it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's all about Missouri, really, isn't it? I mean, I think it's which we are doing these more SEC focus. I think that's it for Missouri fans this year. They just want to see this defense continue to get better, and they did. Like we said, they did improve latter part of last season, and I think you've got a solid group there to be able to do that. I think there is some confidence and optimism. They will be able to get better, like you mentioned. There are guys getting all SEC potential mentions there, and adding some guys transfer wise too will help. I think, especially on the defensive lines, what they're counting on. So I do believe there's a pretty good, situation there for them to. I mean, they have to, right? There's no other choice. They have to be better on defense if they're going to have a chance to win games in the SEC. Louisiana Tech, like you said, I mean, just kind of studying them a little bit. It is the air raid offense, and we know that's always going to bring, some things that will be challenging for your defense. I think the problem for Louisiana Tech is you've got new quarterback group, going in with a new offense, but you do have a couple guys that they brought in that do have experience in the new coaching staff system. So I think that's something too that you could at least lean on that a little bit. And then I think it's just a matter of seeing, where does everything else come together? And I think this is one of those games where, again, this is all about Missouri and how better, they are on the defensive side of the ball going up against an air raid type offense. How do you kind of, structure that scheme wise and those things? That's going to be kind of a fascinating thing here, but you would think that this should be an opportunity to at least get off to a good start if you're Missouri and trying to, like we said, take a big jump on defense this season.
Summing up, I see a lot of uncertainty here. New
Yes.
quarterbacks, new coach at Louisiana Tech. By the way, Missouri, that's Eli Drinkwitz's fourth defensive coordinator in 4 years. So, new stuff on that side of the ball. I don't know, man. This one makes me nervous. Missouri last year won its opener, I believe 34-24 over a very pedestrian Central Michigan team, and just lots of new faces and new everything, as we've said many times. Now, look, Tech's a bad team. Yeah. Tech is supposed to be probably one of the 15, 16 worst teams in the FBS. Wasn't very good a year ago. Missouri, right square middle of the pack, FBS type team. I'm seeing Missouri mid-50s, 60s in the power rankings, mid-50s on the whole. It's at home. Missouri a 20-point favorite, again, 59-point over-under, which gives you an implied final score of about 40-20. Blake, I just don't know what to expect here.
Yeah, this is just like Ole Miss Troy. I'd stay away from this one. I don't love this, and I think because you say that, you probably would be on the side of going Louisiana Tech plus 20 here. But like you said, if we look at the projections and the numbers, though, Louisiana Tech projected to be a pretty bad team overall, and I think that's something that you have to keep in mind here. Even if Missouri is not, challenging for the SEC East, they should be talent-wise much better than Louisiana Tech. So I think that's something to consider. I really go back and forth on this. I think until we know the quarterback situation, those kind of things from Missouri, it's hard to kind of feel great about picking them as a 3-touchdown favorite, even against a bad team. So yeah, it's challenging. But my more confident pick is like I just don't think I would want any part of this game. This is a week 1 stay away game for me in the SEC. Like I said, you can just lump that in with Ole Miss Troy. I think not the exact same, but there's some similarities there. So until we know those things, this is probably one would probably take the over, Chris. I think that's the stronger.
That's what I was thinking. If I was, we're not professional bettors or anything close, but that's where I would go. Well, I think we'll both 59. Take. Yeah, we'll both take Missouri to win, but lots of question marks besides that. And again, this is not the only game in which that's the case. Okay, thanks for watching. We are going to preview all SEC games for Week 0 and Week 1. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you again.